Hello and welcome to Money Matters, our new weekly business show to keep you up to date on the latest in the Hong Kong business environment. The global pandemic has cost the aviation industry $256 billion in passenger revenue. Travel is down over 60%, according to the International Civil Aviation Organization. With air travel predicted to stay at low altitude for another 4 years, could travel via private jet see a boost once restrictions are lowered? Grounded. More than 95% of private planes are now grounded, and it's not as simple as keeping your car parked. Is there a lot of maintenance needed, especially now that planes have been grounded?
We need to try all the systems, the flight control systems, which include the flaps, the ailerons, the rudder, so we need to function with all the systems, Same with the landing gears, So the landing gear as well, so every couple of months we also need to put the landing gear up, landing gear down, just to try it, to function all the systems.
Sergio Oliveira y Silva is managing director for an international private jet company. He says the planes are built for flying, so having them grounded requires lots of maintenance, a service his company provides.
So the engineering, that part of maintenance is helping us kind of offset the losses, but as you know, we need to fly. So if you don't fly, there's a big impact for everyone. My clients, they call me every week almost, can I fly now, can I fly now?
Normally in a recession, the private jet industry is one of the first affected and the last to recover. But Sergio and others are confident that because they were the last in aviation to be affected by the pandemic, they'll be the first in the industry to recover. They'll be able to travel before commercial routes come back online.
When this virus disappears, basically, I believe charter business will be much more popular now, especially for next year. Because people that can afford, they prefer to rent a charter, a private jet instead to buy a first-class ticket on any airline. So that's what we're expecting, and I think will happen for sure.
In Asia, particularly Hong Kong and China, most who fly private own their planes. A handful of them lease them out when they're not flying, a kind of Airbnb model. Since the pandemic, there's been an increase of inquiries into buying or leasing private jets, according to some operators.
We got more than 300% of inquiries compared to last year during this 2-month period from March to May.
Jenny's company manages 45 jets for their owners. 5 of them are available to charter when not in use. She says there's a new demographic of people interested in buying their own jet.
There are a lot of newcomers and high-tech companies. They're trying to buy planes nowadays. And so now they're thinking for safety issues, for flexibility issues, and really, it just during this COVID period, they need to make sure that the cabin is clean and safe and being disinfected and sanitized.
Right now, only 10% of those who can afford to fly private do. Once barriers come down, analysts predict the other 90% will consider it for safety reasons.
I had a friend who's in manufacturing business, and her company is doing very well, multi-billion-dollar company. And then she told me she only traveled in economic class before, but now she's thinking to buy a private jet. She said mainly due to safety reasons.
Ian Moore, an operator out of Europe, agrees. His fleet, unlike those in Asia, is 100% owned by the company. This means clients can buy flying hours, making it considerably easier and more affordable to fly private. He says he's already in talks with several corporations who are looking at flying their staff privately since there will be less company travel, so more budget to spend on fewer but safer flights.
A lot of the corporations we're talking to, they're keen to get their guys back on the road because they feel that they're better face-to-face than they are through a Zoom call. And that's just reality.
He points out that flying commercial involves far more risk of infection as there are almost 700 touch points versus 40 when flying private.
Right? If you think about the whole airport and the amount of people that are going through that larger airport, all the way through to check-in, going through security, going through boarding, and then the onboard experience, and then getting off.
Aviation consultant Jeff Lowe says that it's the ultimate in social distancing.
You can literally show up 10 minutes before your flight. You go into this dedicated facility, which at this point in time, you'll be the only person in it, okay? Someone from the facility will take your passport. There's your aircraft parked right there with the air stair door down. You walk up the stairs, they close the door, they taxi out, and away you go.
Regionally, Jeff says China has recovered considerably in private aviation, particularly as it's a huge domestic market.
These are the big markets, the Shanghai, Shenzhen, Guangzhou. You're only seeing traffic levels down about 30% at the moment. And even there's a few markets that are actually back to normal and are higher than they were last year. China, which has gotten back to normal, probably earliest of anybody.
But is the sticker price worth it? Based on a seat-to-seat comparison by Ian, he says a flight from Hong Kong to New York via one of his fleet is roughly 50% more expensive than a first-class ticket. Plus, it's rare that every seat in a private jet is taken, so value comes in other ways.
It really becomes, pretty competitive when a lot of the commercial airlines now can't fly to destinations, or you can't get from A to B anymore. You may have to go to A to C to B, and that could take you an extra half a day.
The operator-owned business model of Ian's company offers better deals for users, since clients can then buy a number of flying hours per year rather than having to buy their own jet or wait for an owner jet to become available. But those in the industry say that until international aviation restrictions between countries in the APAC region are either standardized or come down, this kind of flying won't be available here.
The issue we have in Asia is all those third-party charges are extremely expensive out here. And not only extremely expensive, but depending on where you go, they vary greatly as well. So the problem in Asia is that you really have a hard time coming up with sort of one size that fits all.
He sees potential for the inoculation passports of the 70s returning. These showed if a traveler had been vaccinated for certain diseases, so they would be allowed entry into certain countries. Just as the security increases from 9/11 became permanent, some of the COVID-19 measures could also stay. For now, flying private may remain out of reach for most people, but signs point to a growing trend of travel this way once virus-related restrictions come down.